Hi everyone, welcome back to No Borders English Studio, the channel where we talk about real English, not just textbook English. Today we're going to do something a little different and a lot of fun. We're going to play a game. I'm going to show you some English sentences, and your job is to guess, is this correct or not? Now here's the twist. Every single mistake in today's video, native English speakers make them all the time. We're talking about everyday people, TV presenters, influencers, your English teacher's English teacher. Nobody's safe. So if you've ever heard something and thought, wait, is that actually right? This video is for you. So let's go. Round 1. Here's your sentence. Ugh, I could care less about what he thinks. Is this correct? Have a think. Take a pause. And if you think it's incorrect, you can also think of what is the correct sentence. So the answer is no. This isn't correct. The correct version is, I couldn't care less. And here's why this is so sneaky. If you could care less, that actually means you care at least a little bit. You still have room to care less, which is the opposite of what you're trying to say. The correct phrase, I couldn't care less, means your care level is already at 0. It's rock bottom, gone. There is no less cares to give. But native speakers say, I could care less, so often that it sounds completely normal. You've probably heard it in movies or TV shows. So now you know the truth. And maybe you couldn't care less. Just kidding. Let's move on. So, round 2, here is your sentence. Me and my friend went to the cinema last night. Is this correct or not? Have your guess ready. This one is not correct. But don't feel bad because honestly, almost every native English speaker says this in casual conversation. The grammatically correct version is my friend and I went to the cinema. There's two things happening here. First, I should be used as the subject of the sentence, not me. And second, it's polite to put yourself last. My friend and I, not me and my friend. And here's a little trick to remember this. Remove the other person from the sentence and see if it still makes sense. Would you say me went to the cinema? No. You'd say I went to the cinema. So it's my friend and I. Easy trick, right? You're welcome. Okay, round number 3, and this one is a written mistake more than a spoken one, but it's everywhere. So look at the sentence. You should have told me earlier. So is this correct or not? Okay, of course it's not correct because I just said that this is a written mistake. The right version of this is, you should have told me earlier. You should have told me earlier. So where does should of come from? It comes from the way we say it, the way we speak. In natural, fast speech, should have gets squished into should have. And should have sounds a lot like should of. So people started writing it as should of. And it spread like wildfire. The same thing goes for would of, could of, must of. None of these are correct in writing or speaking, but all right, it sounds like that in speaking. They're definitely not correct in writing. It's always should have, would have, could have, must have, or we make the contraction to should have, would have, could have, must have. So next time you're typing a message and you write should of, you'll hear my voice in your head. And you're welcome for that too. Okay. Number 4, this one divides people, even though it shouldn't, but it does. Here's the sentence. Irregardless of what anyone says, I think she's great. Is this correct? Okay. So irregardless is not a standard word in English. It doesn't exist. The correct word is simply regardless. So here's what happened. Regardless already means without regard. Then people mixed it up with the word irrespective, which also means something similar. And somewhere along the way, irregardless was born. It was like a linguistic accident. Now, some dictionaries have actually added it as an entry just because so many people use it, but it's still considered non-standard, and a lot of people find it grating, annoying. So if you want to sound polished and professional, stick with regardless. It's simple, clean, and it's correct. All right, number 5, and this one is very subtle, but once you hear it, you'll notice it everywhere. Here's the sentence. There were less people at the party than I expected. Is this correct or not? Not quite. The correct version is fewer people. So here's the rule. We use fewer for things you can count. We can count people, chairs, mistakes, coffees. We use less for things we can't count, like water, time, stress. If we look at water, we can't count how many drops of water is in there. That's why we can't count it. So, less traffic, fewer cars. Less sugar, fewer cookies. Do you see the difference there? We can't count traffic. We can't count sugar, grains of sugar. I suppose you could if you had a microscope, but who's going to do that? We can count cars and we can count cookies very easily, so we use fewer. The supermarket checkout sign that says 10 items or less. Technically, it should be 10 items or fewer. This mistake is literally, and actually I'll get into that word literally in a moment. It's literally everywhere. So you might want to make note of that one if you're trying to be grammatically correct in your English. Okay, it's time. Mistake number 6. Here's the sentence. Oh my God, I literally died laughing. Now I know what you're thinking. Everyone says this. And yes, everyone does. But let's talk about it. Literally means something actually happened in reality. I literally ran 5 kilometers this morning. That happened in real life, literally. But I literally died laughing. You did not die. You are here watching this video. You're very much alive. What people mean is, I figuratively died laughing, but nobody says figuratively. So let's just be honest about that. It's a big, kind of clumsy sounding word, but it is actually what the person means when they say literally. Now, is this a crime? Are the language police coming? No. Language evolves, and using literally for emphasis, it's so common now that it's basically accepted in casual speech. But, and this is important, if you use it in formal writing, like on a job application, in an email to your boss, don't do it. Avoid it. And if you want to sound precise and educated in conversation, using it correctly will always make you stand out. Also, if I hear one more influencer say, I literally can't even, I will literally lose my mind. Number 7, and this one's a classic. Here's the sentence. Sorry, I didn't go to the party. I was boring at home. Is this correct? What could be the correct sentence? Okay, if you thought it's incorrect, you're right. The right version is, I was bored at home. This one trips up learners and sometimes native speakers, but in different ways. The difference is bored. It's how you feel. I am bored. You are experiencing boredom. Boring, it's what you're like. It's your personality. Or it's the situation. This class is boring. In other words, the class is causing boredom in others. So if you say, I'm boring, you're not saying you feel bored. You're saying that you, as a person, are not very interesting. And I don't think that's what you mean to say. Unless you do. Maybe you do. But I don't think so. So bored is your feeling. Boring is your personality. So don't mix these up. And we can use these with other emotion words as well. Excited. I'm excited about the presentation. Or exciting. The presentation was exciting. All right, let's go to number 8. Here's our sentence. Can you explain me this word? Is this correct? If you don't think so, what could be the correct sentence? All right, so once again, you probably got it already. You're seeing a pattern here. This is also incorrect. The correct version is, can you explain this word to me? Can you explain this word to me? In many languages, the verb explain works like tell. You tell someone something. So you explain someone something, right? That would make sense. But in English, explain needs to. They go together. They're best buddies. You explain something to someone. You can never explain someone something directly. So, can you explain this to me? this is what we want to say. We don't say, can you explain me this? It's a small change, but a really big difference in how natural you sound. And this is one of those mistakes that even very advanced English learners make because it feels so logical in the wrong way. Okay, moving on. Number 9. This one is intermediate level gold. Here's the sentence. I will call you when I will arrive. I will call you when I will arrive. Is this correct or not? What could the correct sentence be? All right, so of course it is not correct. The right version is, I'll call you when I arrive. So this one's tricky because grammatically, using will twice feels logical. It's a future situation, so why not use will both times? In English, in time clauses, phrases that start with when, after, before, as soon as, until, we use the present simple to talk about the future, not will. For example, like we said, I'll call you when I arrive. Or text me when you get home. We'll celebrate after she finishes her exam. It sounds more natural, more fluent, and it's one of those things that immediately signals a higher level of English when you get it right. Number 10. This one's my personal favorite. Here's the sentence. It's a whole nother story. It's a whole nother story. All right, so you get the picture. This is incorrect, but what is correct? Think of your sentence. So, nother is not a real word. It has never been a real word, and yet here we are. What happened is fascinating, actually. The word another got split in half, and nother. And then whole got squeezed in the middle, a whole nother. This actually has a name. It's called an infix. It's what happens when we insert a word inside another word. And it's almost unique to this phrase in English. So the correct version would be a whole other story, or simply another story entirely. But a whole nother story, it's so deeply embedded in American English, especially American English, that most people don't even blink. You'll hear it from presidents, professors, news anchors, everyone. So now you know, and knowing is half the battle. So how did you do? Be honest in the comments. How many did you get right? I want to know if you got a perfect 10, or if English, even the English you thought you knew, had a few surprises for you today. If this video made you feel better about your English, or worse, honestly, either reaction means you learned something, and that's what we're here for. Don't forget to subscribe to No Borders English Studio for more real English content. No borders, no judgment, just language. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!